Welcome to Sport Nation. This week we've downhill skiing from the Swiss International City Ski Championships. And we're in Stockton with some of Europe's best doubles players for the National Premier Indoor Tennis Finals. With Mont Blanc as its backdrop, Courmayeur in Italy is the stunning venue for the Swiss International City Ski Championships. Entrants come from a mixture of London's financial community and Fleet Street. And with a number of races organised, including a World Cup standard giant slalom, the event attracts the very best in competitive amateur skiers.
This is the 7th year. This is the pioneer event for the whole City Championships programme. And it was just based very simply on the idea that the city is a competitive place, but there was no outlet for them to compete in sport. So we'll have 200 people skiing tomorrow on a giant slalom course. Competition is taken very, very seriously at the front end, but similarly there's plenty of room for people who are less accomplished.
And most of those less accomplished skiers will be just pleased to get to the bottom of what's a very challenging course.
Well, they're all amateurs, but interestingly in the ski here, you unearth quite a few who have at some point skied professionally. They're not fast in coming forward with the fact that they've been professional skiers, and therefore we have to put them into a different category. So, but we usually wheedle them out.
Well, the first event we've got is the final from the dual parallel team slalom. It's a more relaxed precursor to the giant slalom, but the teams competing are still out for the win and for those all-important team points. A number of knockout heats have been run already, leaving us 2 teams in the final. Accenture 1, made up of Beardshaw, Copeland, Gordon and Skeet, they take on the natives, the Martin brothers, John Triggle and James Gambrill. Now, the first run has just started. Just explain how this works. There are teams of 4, as you've seen, and they race consecutively. And once the first person is down, the flag is raised and the next skier begins. And there are just 12 gates. So this really is fast and furious. And as you see, pretty much neck and neck so far. There are no timings here. It's pure knockout. The first team of 4 down win. And it's very, very close. Accenture on the right, and he's lost it. And that is disaster for the Accenture team. That's what happens sometimes when you try to press. And here's James Gambrill coming home almost on his own. You see how far he is ahead of his rival. He is the natives' 4th skier, and he has come home to confirm victory in the dual parallel team slalom.
It was a very, very tight race. I think Ian started superbly. It was very even. John followed up, and then I came down. And I think their 3rd skier just caught an edge on the last gate, and unfortunately gave us a chance to get in the lead, and that was brought home strongly by James, so we sneaked it.
Well, the prospect of racing on a World Cup standard giant slalom course can be quite daunting. So to help some of the less experienced skiers through the race and to pass on some knowledge is former British Olympic and World Cup skier Konrad Bartelski.
Some of the racers here, they've skied 12 days in their life, and they're skiing down a course which, World Cup racers get skied down. So it's a real challenge for them to do it. And, you can't teach somebody very much in a short period of time, but what you can do is you can put them in the right frame of mind. You're getting the rhythm going nicely, that's good. And what I try to do is not give them lots of instructions of what to do with their legs, their arms and their skis, because at the end of the day, if they're thinking about skiing when they're going down the mountain, they're going to get themselves in trouble. You can give them a few tips how they can concentrate their mind, which will allow their legs to work instinctively. And skiing is actually a very natural sport. Although it's not a view shared by a lot of people, but it's something that if you watch little children ski, they do it automatically, and there's no reason why adults can't do it instinctively. The only reason they don't is because they're thinking the whole time about it. And so if I actually give them something that takes them off thinking about trying to ski, then they end up skiing better, and that's what I'll be concentrating on. Just giving them confidence, because at the end of the day, if you feel comfortable, feel happy, they tend to do better. And you give them some clues where to go, how to prepare before the race, breathe properly so you get lots of oxygen in your lungs because you're at high altitude. And then the other thing to do is then just make sure that when they're going down the course they know and understand where they're going so that they're not panicking a bit. And that will make them 3 or 4 seconds faster. The best way to deal with them is try and actually start your turn a little bit earlier so you finish your turn sooner. It took about 10 years of learning to ski before I went to the race course, and people are now going to race course after 10 days of skiing. It's absolutely staggering. I measure skiing ability these days in inches. If somebody's got a smile that's 2 inches wide, they're not a good skier. As soon as I see a 4-inch smile, I know they're a great skier, and that's the important thing to me.
The key is breathing. That's what I got out of the lesson this morning, and timing the turns correctly.
Have you done this event before?
No, I haven't. First time doing a ski race. I've skied for quite a few years, but it's the first time I'm actually doing a race. I figure the only thing going down parallel will be my buttocks on the slope when I fall over.
Well, here is Hazel, and she's proving she definitely listened in to Conrad's advice, keeping her buttocks well and truly off the snow. Here's how the top 12 stand after the first run. Now, they run the course twice, and they'll go in reverse order. So Einar Johansson will go last, and the times are cumulative. First runner we're going to see is Dion Taylor from Snow and Rock, and I'm very pleased to say that alongside me is Konrad Bartelski. This course, a real challenge to some of these skiers, Konrad.
Well, this is a top flight course. This is something you'd expect to see on a World Cup circuit. So it's a real challenge for these skiers. And Dion Taylor here spends most of his time actually selling skis and ski boots to a lot of the punters that go out on the mountain. So see if he can make him work for himself. That's a good solid run, good steady skiing, but his shoulder's far too high. You've got to be faster than that if you want to have a really good time.
At least he couldn't blame his equipment. Next up is Jerome from Barclays.
You see, fairly hesitant start out there. You've got to be very aggressive when you're ski racing and take some risks, and kind of difficult if you're spending most of your time in a city office block. As you can see, really struggling now to get close to the gates. That's where you lose your time. You're going to get close to those gates. You have to go between each red and blue gate and make sure you get through each one to get down to the bottom. That in itself is quite a challenge. Whoa, as you can see, just a little bit too much weight on the inside ski. The outside ski rattle around a bit, and the binding's probably not tightened up for the race, and the ski falls away.
Here's Peter Beardshaw from Accenture One.
Yeah, he's one of the regulars here in the race. He knows exactly what he's doing. As you can see, getting very much tighter to the gates, more direct line. That's how you win your speed on a course.
We've seen a couple of the skiers actually rattle those gates. Do you actually lose anything for that, or it just slows you down?
Gives you a good bruise when you go down, but it's when the race is trying to get tight as possible. When it gets a bit steeper and turny like this, it's more difficult to get close to the gates. But the poles give you a good whack, and they're quite painful. But a good solid run there, 53.10. It's not a bad time. Here you see the other race came down. You saw just as he wanted to put the weight on his ski, the ski fell off. And often if you don't get yourself prepared properly for a race, it's a bit like Damon Hill losing a wheel going around a corner in a Grand Prix car. But the snow's soft, he'll be all right.
Well, he's off to the pits then. And we're going to concentrate on the next man down. Filippo Maraldi.
Yeah, one of the Lloyd's team here. Great characters. They ski around in bright jackets, got these super slinky ski suits for the races. You can see cuts through wind like ice through hot butter, and does help you go faster. Spends most of his time training in the Bar Roma though. So lacking in a bit of endurance here at the bottom, getting back into tuck nice and early, but just lacking a bit of speed there. Oh, but yeah, 56.26. That just gets him into first place, 1500ths. That's not bad.
Not bad, but many of the fancied skiers still to go, of course, because they run in reverse order from their first run times. Here's Richard Goodenough.
Yes, one of the sponsors here. Now, if you hit the poles that you see, it doesn't matter as long as you go between the gates. Nice, direct line. But this is really where it gets difficult. When you come onto the teeth section, look, he's a little bit hesitant there, and he's been thrown wide by the bumps. So he's not attacking this mount enough. The fast skiers really have to commit themselves to the turns. What's happened? Has he stopped for a cup of tea there? Oh, no, he's made it there. He's just come up through there. Again, just a little bit cautious on the steep bit, but that shows you how tough it is. Oh, and again, the same thing's happened. He's lost his bottom ski again. That's the trouble of, these people who don't really ski in races very much come along to a tough course like this, and their equipment doesn't stand up to it.
Well, at least he's enjoying the moment. It was quite a spectacular fall. With a mouthful of snow, of course, and they've got a mouthful of something much more appetising, enjoying some traditional Italian hospitality. They've done the hard work.
Yeah, and he's eating a little bit of white powder there on the way down. He needs a bit of Head and Shoulders to get rid of that dandruff. Oh, there's another one. Do you see this? Very much a really tricky corner there because the mountain's falling away from you. You've got to turn around that gate, and the number of races going down means there's a lot of little bumps in the snow, which makes it difficult for the skiers coming down.
We've got a catalogue of calamities here. What about Fred Zorzi? What can he do?
Let's see what this French banker does. BNP Paribas. Well represented from the city. Lots of different companies coming and supporting this event, and tremendous atmosphere. Amazing how competitive it is. As you can see, they've all dug deep and got these tight suits to make themselves go faster.
56.67.
Very good run. Nice and low in the tuck through the bottom there, and a very good time. 50.28. First place by 1.5 seconds.
Now, Robert Brown here is one of the favourites.
Yeah, now he used to race with a British team, in fact, when he was younger, and has now gone off to the real world and trying to earn a living.
The two Brown boys expected to be
There's two brothers here who are very competitive against each other. But you can't throw in a check like that. That costs you a bit of time. Getting dragged low there, but you can see how low he is in the tuck there. That makes you aerodynamically efficient, and look at that reflected in the time, 48.14. More than 1 second ahead of the opposition. Yeah, that's thrown the gauntlet down to the guys waiting at the top.
48.14.
Now, here's brother Tom with his siblings' time to beat.
Yeah, let's see how he gets in at the cash point. Good strong start out at the top, get your speed quickly. And then you see the racers jump down, keeping those shoulders low. You see again another racer who used to race on the national team, and a very good time, 47.49. You see they're getting faster and faster, and 37 hundredths of a second. It's close now, but he's the right side of his brother there.
So bragging rights in the Brown household. Here is Matthias Wessling.
Okay, the Royal Bank of Scotland team here for the first time this year, and they've got a very strong contingent. Another person who's had some experience of skiing on international races, but he's not using it there. Blimey, he's all over the place. He's going a couple hundred yards further down the course than anybody else. I mean, the trick, this is like motor racing. If you ski a tight direct line, you're going to be fast. But if you're off the course like that, there's no way of recovering. He's really just, I mean, he looks like he's on holiday at the moment. I think he must have had too much training in the Bar Roma the night before, bit wobbly knees on the way down, and that's a bit of a disappointment.
He wasn't just off the course, he was nearly off the mountain. How wide did he go?
Yeah, that's the one of the favourites, and that's what happens. You're trying too hard to do a fast time, you end up making lots of mistakes, and he's made them pretty well all the way down there, so it's going to make it easier for the next chap at the top. Einar
Johansson, probably the favourite.
Well, definitely the favourite. He's been fastest man here for the last 2 years, and this man was a World Cup skier for the Norwegian ski team. I mean, they're one of the great ski teams, and he's still keeping himself fit, although he's had a little baby boy recently, which is ruining his sleep, I think, a little bit at night. But you can see how he's chucking himself down the mountain, how close he's getting to the gates, having a nice direct line. Just coming through there, you see, look how quickly he gets onto his skis, makes a clean execution of the turn, jumps into a position again, and that's a fast way. This is like top skiing as you'll see on a World Cup circuit. Excellent run from the Norwegian, and look at his time, miles ahead of anybody else, and I'm sure he had something left in reserve.
Well, indeed, he's won it by more than a second, confirming that. Einar, convincing winner then for the 5th time, despite, by his very high standards, a conservative second run. Not that you'd have noticed.
I heard from the top that some of the guys that skied just in front of me, who I thought was most threatening, they had some mistakes. So I took a tactical decision to ski a little bit safer than what I otherwise would have. And that worked out, so I was reasonably confident when I got down. It was challenging. It's a challenging course. It's a full course, so it's everyone has the opportunity to try that, and there's kids coming up who's breathing down my neck, and I had to go for it, and I did, and it worked out.
And with all events over the weekend scoring team points, it's Royal Bank of Scotland who take the team prize back to the Square Mile. Great competition across all the events. Some skiers delighted to have won, others just delighted to have competed. The Swiss International City Ski Championships goes from strength to strength and can now look forward to its 8th year in 2007.
Fantastic. Always helps when you've got fantastic weather. We have the resort here who work very, very hard for us, and to put 200 skiers down twice in a day and keep the competition as strong as it is we're very, very pleased. It's gone well.
After the break, with the National Premier Indoor Tennis Finals from the David Lloyd Leisure Centre in Stockton-on-Tees.